everyone. Hey, welcome to another episode of The Front. Thanks for joining me today. As always, you can check out the website at leadtheteam.net for free sales training, for motivational content, and for leadership tips. And if you would, cruise on over to leadtheteam.tv and subscribe to the YouTube channel there. I do new episodes every Wednesday and Sunday, and I would love to have you join me and participate. So today, I'm going to be doing a Rockstar recap of the Rockstar Auto Conference this past week, right now on The Front.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead the Teams, The Front.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and join me today. My name is Mike Phillips, and I will be your host. This is The Front. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing a Rockstar Automotive Conference recap. I've been at the Rockstar Auto Conference for the last couple of days. It is put on by Koenig and Chris Speer, and just absolutely awesome. This is the fourth one they've done. I think the second one they've done in Vegas, and just really good content, very relevant speakers. I was honored to be able to speak and present a session alongside some just phenomenal people in the automotive industry. And I took my wife with me to this conference because she wanted to see what it was about. Plus, it was in Vegas. We'd never been to Vegas together. And so we were going to make it a little mini vacation, and that was a lot of fun. But she got so much out of the conference because more than just being rooted in sales or automotive or leadership or marketing, there are a bunch of different facets to that, but it was rooted in humanity and faith and being a good person. And so she walked away because my wife is not in the automotive industry. I mean, she is because I've been in the automotive industry for a long, long time. But she's not in the automotive industry like many of us are. And she says, man, that was such a positive and uplifting and motivational, inspirational conference. She goes, I got so much out of it. I'm really glad that I went with you. So again, kudos to Matt and Chris and everybody that put in their time and energy and effort to, from setup to the speakers, to the party. They had the hustle house, the sales hustlers rented this gigantic mansion and invited everybody on the first night there to do this big pool party and mixer networking event. And it was just this collaborative, it was awesome. That's the only thing. I'm just overwhelmed. It was awesome. So here we go with my number ones for each session. So Matt kicked it off and he really set the tone for the conference. And it was really good because he said, you got to be honest and you got to be open and you have to be present. If you're here at the Rockstar, most people that went to the Rockstar paid their own way. And he says, so you got to be honest about what you want to learn. You need to be open to listening to new ideas and things that may be presented in a little bit different way. And you need to be present. You paid to be here. The stuff that you left at work, leave it there. And let's be really present in what is happening right now so you have the best opportunity to learn. So then the keynote speaker kicks it off. Coach Sherry Wynn, unbelievable. I've never seen her speak before, and she was awesome. The one takeaway I had from her was become a yeah and person. So many people are yeah but people. Yeah but this. Yeah but we can't do that. Yeah but, and it becomes an excuse war. She said all you have to do is change that to yeah and. And not only does it help to align your mentality to be more positive, but you'll accomplish more because you could say, yeah, we could do that And so that was my number one takeaway from her. I thought it was awesome. Now, next up was Frank Lopes, and I love Frank. I've heard Frank speak many times, and one of the ways that he engaged people is right at the last second. He goes in and he's talking about his intro, and then he quickly changes the name of what his session was going to be. So everyone grabbed it, and it was like, well, wait a minute. And he was talking about, when you get that little tingling in your belly, right? When you get that little tingling, you've got to pay attention to it. And he shared some stories from his own life. He says, I had that tingle and I didn't follow it. So if you've got that tingle, you've got that passion, you've got that fire, go after it. You got to do it. Next up was me. I had the opportunity to speak. My session was on automotive leadership. And at the very tail end, it was one of those impromptu things that it just hits you. And I shared this and Matt repeated it. He says, hey, one of the most relevant things that he thought I said was, as a leader, if you are not constantly learning and growing and replacing yourself, learning how to replace yourself in business, then you're going to be constantly replacing your people. So you got to be constantly growing. Next up was Timmy James from Flick Fusion. And same thing, just such a genuine speaker. He was talking, and he's so calculated. Like, he's got all these statistics, but he's able to present them in a manner to everyone so that there's an understanding. And his thing's video, right? Timmy's whole company is video. And he presented to people and was saying, look, video has not reached its critical mass yet. It's still going, and video is exploding. It's huge. Video creates trust. People buy from other people that they trust. So if video creates trust, then you should do that. Then, as I mentioned, that's kind of the close of day one. And everybody had the opportunity to get together and network and spend time together at the Sales Hustler. They called it the Hustle House. And it was a great party. It was an awesome networking event. You had the opportunity to speak with everybody, anyone that wanted to have a conversation. There were so many just conversations about growth and collaboration and faith that were going on. I mean, just all over the place. There was nobody that was there to just party and be numb. Everyone was razor sharp and participating with one another. So to kick off day two was Tony D. And if you have not heard Tony D speak before, he's awesome. He's very engaging. He runs a company called The Academy that does training. And one of the things that he brought up, he's heavy in compliance. Talked a lot about, federal and local compliance. Very intelligent and just really good information. The one piece I took out of his session that I think was most relevant is social media right now is kind of like the Wild West. People that are branding themselves and spending time, even doing videos like this. It's the Wild West, and it's coming. There is going to be some regulation. I have to imagine there's going to be some regulation. And so I think he did a really good job of kind of giving everybody the lookout block. Right after Tony was Sean Hayes. Woo! Right? I love Sean. And the number one thing I took away from his was that there is no hiding who you are. So you can either share it and be open about it because people are going to find out anyway, or you can try and hide it and people are going to find out anyway. And at the end of the day, exposure is exposure. So be honest about who you are and be honest about who you are becoming and who you have become, and people will trust you that much more. Then followed by Sean was Dave Benson. Dave was, and I've never heard Dave speak. Both of these guys are run the Sales Hustlers. And Dave, the thing that I took away from his was that evolution is not optional. Evolution right now is necessary when it comes to the online world. For a time when we were developing websites, and Dave was talking about funnels, when we were developing websites, there was a time that it was so important to have as much possible information as we could all crammed into our website. And now it's kind of flip-flop. Less is more when it comes to a website. So you want to steer people through a funnel, and that way you can really, it takes them less time. It's more effective. You can have a more pointed and relevant conversation with the customer by not providing all the gobbledygook and junk that's available out there on so many websites today. Then next, we all got a bonus. Glenn Lundy had come to attend the Rockstar Auto Conference, and they said, hey, Glenn, would you be willing to speak? And my number one takeaway from Glenn was his speech was so heartfelt. He carried himself from his heart, and he shared from his soul. And the number one thing, even more so than the message, because he just jumped up, he says, yeah, I'm in. I'll go. So with no preparation, no slide deck, no pre-memorized speech, the biggest takeaway I had was the fact that when you just carry yourself from your heart and you are who you are, that can sometimes make the biggest impact. Next up was Mark Tewart. And he is such a powerful and passionate speaker. I've been a huge fan of Mark's for a number of years. He's provided so much to the automotive industry, and I was really looking forward to him speaking, and he did not disappoint. My number one from Mark was, you have to be unique and think for yourself. You don't have to follow the crowd. You have to be whatever you are. Think for yourself. All those things that you've been trained to do, what if you did the exact opposite? Would that make an impact on people and make an impact for the better and make them better? So that was, I mean, like I said, any one of these guys, I could just go on and on and on. This would be a much, much longer video. That's why I just had to pick one and share it, because it was all just so good. Then following Mark was Joe Calla. And Joe he's a minister. And so a lot of his talk revolved around faith. The one item I got from him, though, that I thought was really awesome was that thoughts certainly steer our feelings, both good and bad. And so the number one way to crush thought, speak. Like, actually share your voice. You cannot be thinking and speaking at the same time. And he ran us through this activity that it was so simple and so real. It was like, oh my gosh, how could we have not thought of that before, right? If you want to crush those negative thoughts, start speaking, start taking action, start doing something. So really good job there. Next up was Scott Peckstein with AutoWeb. And I enjoy hearing Scott speak. I always enjoy hearing Scott speak. The number one that I got from him this time was that the industry is always evolving. It's always going to be moving. It's constantly adjusting. And while there are a lot of the steps and pieces of the process that are the same, there are maybe different entry points. Like, for example, it used to be you waited for somebody to come onto the lot and then you greeted them, right? Well, now that greeting takes place online. So you have to make sure and dust that off and polish it up and make sure that your online greeting is as excellent as your in-person greeting would have been previously. And lastly, Mr. Anthony Alagona was taking us home. He is a BDC trainer, and he spoke so eloquently. The number one thing that I took away from Anthony's session was that you have to continue, as simple as it is, practice, drill, rehearse. Be excellent at what you do. Because when you're excellent at what you do, and if you're worried about the customer's outcome, then you don't have to worry about your income. And I thought that was such a simple and profound statement. So nice job to all of the speakers. It was a really good conference, both for automotive and for just general growth as a person. If you wanted to grow, this was the conference to attend, I think, this year. Now, lastly, as we were closing out, one of the things that Matt said, and I made a slide of this and shared it with him, he had a really great statement. And he said, look, you can't tell the type of person that somebody is by the kind of car that they drove onto your lot. So you have to treat everybody with respect and be excellent to everyone. And I thought, man, that is, because we do. In automotive, you start to think, oh man, they're driving that thing on the lot, or oh wow, they're driving that on the lot. You can't tell how the person is here by the type of car that they drive. There's no way to do it. And so that was a really kind of put a bow tie on how this whole conference was. So in closing here today, I would tell you this. If you get the chance to attend the Rockstar Automotive Conference, whether you are in automotive sales or if you're in any sales, do it. It's absolutely worth your time. It's worth your energy. It's worth your effort, and it is worth your dollars. It was really, really awesome. And I know that it's going to continue to get better from there. So that's my whole message today on the front. I hope you've enjoyed this recap. Thank you so much. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media. And until we speak next, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.